Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a go at making the clock from Beauty and the Beast. So I've printed off an image from the internet that I've just found and I'm just going to cut out around him. So just trim right the way around the edge and I'm going to cut him into pieces. So I've got the body, the legs and the head. I've cut off the arms but save those to one side. Just make sure you've got a cake drum that's big enough for it to go on. And I'll just trim that little bit off the top of his head now. Now I've just baked a small chocolate cake for the head. Just make sure it's big enough for your little face template to sit on. I've just got a chocolate cake here, so we're just layering it up with chocolate buttercream in between the layers. And I'm going to trim around the template so that I'm making it the same shape as the face. And now I've got a slightly larger one. Again, just make sure size-wise that the body template will fit onto this one. And I'm also going to try and squeeze the legs on as well. So mine's an 8-inch cake that I've got for the bottom. So we'll cut that out. Now this one isn't layered as tall as the head, so you'll see it sits further down. And I'm putting the body on. So I'll trim again around it and just check the head fits in that little slot there. And then using the little offcut bit that we've got left from that larger cake, we're going to now cut around the legs. Now these want to be a little bit shorter than the body, so I'm going to take a thin layer off the top of those legs. And I'm just going to stick it to my cake drum now with a bit of chocolate buttercream. So that's the basic shape made, and we're going to fully cover it now in chocolate buttercream. Now it's quite soft, so if you do need to put it in the freezer just for 10 minutes just to start to firm it up a little bit, you can do that to help you buttercream it. You can also use ganache instead if you prefer to use ganache. So we're going to go all the way around. Try and get it as smooth as you can. I've got a brown coloured sugar paste that I'm just rolling out, and I've got Renshaw's one here, and they do a chocolate flavoured one or a slightly lighter coloured brown one. So just place your rolled out piece of fondant or sugar paste onto the leg area, and we're going to give it a bit of a push down with our smoother. And then using the template, we're just going to mark where we want to put little indents. And I want a straight line, so I'm just going to use the edge of that smoother that I was using to run across. If you need to deepen it, just use a modelling tool. And then I'm going to trim off all the extra bits from around the bottom. And you can find links to any of the tools and equipment that we've used in the description box below the video. Now I've got a slightly deeper colour brown, so this one's the chocolate flavoured one that I've got here. And I just bought this one ready dyed to save me having to dye it myself. I'm just going to cut it so it just fits across the top of the body. And now we're going to need to put the lighter brown around like the outside bit of the body. So I'm going to cut around my template so I know where the lines need to go. So we'll cut that middle bit out. Back to the original brown colour that we used for the feet. Roll that out large enough that it's going to cover the body. So we'll just lay that over the body, press it down the sides, and we're going to put the template on and just draw around that inside bit now. Now I'm going to go slightly in or further out even from where my template is, just because once I've put the sugar paste on, it's made the cake a little bit larger. So I'm going to move those lines slightly further out. Still use the template as a rough guide. And then just try and neaten up any jaggedy edges you've got, like that. Smooth around it. I'm just pushing the back of the knife blade into where I want to mark it. I'll just trim those extra bits off the bottom as well. So just run the knife blade across the bottom, trim those bits off, and again do the same at the sides. So where it meets the board, trim those off, and a little bit that comes onto the head. Now I've got a honey gold colour now that we're going to use for the other bits, so we'll get that dyed ready for using later. And then I've got a skin tone colour that I've used. I'm going to roll this out and put it on the face, and it needs to cover the very front of the face, so I'll just cut around the edge of that. Once you've cut around the head, we'll start putting in his features. So I'm just going to trim the line where his mouth is on the template to help me with whereabouts to put it on the face. And again, we'll do the same with the eyes. Just position that as central as you can. And again, I'm going to push my modelling tool through to make indents. I'm just using my finger to dint it a little bit more. And I'm going to cut out the mouth area there. So where the eyes are, I'm just going to push my finger in slightly to give them a little bit of a dint and hollow them out a little bit. Just using the bottom end of the modelling tool to draw the edges into the smile. Just smooth it off with your fingers slightly. Give him just a couple of little lines under the eyes and slightly out to the side. And we'll just try and dint around the sort of chin area. Just keep looking at your template for guidance as well. And I've got like a bit more brown that I've mixed with a little bit of red that we're going to fill the space of the mouth in with. And then a slightly pinker colour, put a little oval in for the tongue, and we'll just push that down in the middle to change the shape of it slightly. Add a little bit more definition now around that chin. Back to the brown colour again. Get that rolled out reasonably thin, and we'll place that over the face. Just give it a gentle rub down around the edges. Trim with the knife sort of under the neck where it's going to meet with the body, and down the sides of the head as well. And we'll cut that around the board. Now we need to try and trim so that his face is going to come through, so quite close to the edge, and then leave a little bit more for the chin, cut down there. So we'll cut out the middle of the clock chime. Then we just want the honey gold that we'd dyed earlier, roll that into a disc, place that in the middle of the body. We're going to need a bit more of this colour now for the other features on him. So we'll trim these out and we can use them again as a template. Just give us a rough guide. So roll it out in fondant. Trim around your template, just neaten off those edges and push that in place on the top of the body. I'm just trying to spread it out slightly with my finger when I push it on. And using the same colour fondant, we're going to roll out a nice long piece, and these are going to go around the legs. So following those lines that you indented earlier, just going to push that across there. So you want 2 full length ones going across the length of those legs, and then a couple of smaller pieces that are just going to go across the feet. And if it doesn't just stick on its own, you can just use a little bit of edible glue or water to stick it in place with. Now we want more of the brown, so the same colour we've used for the body. I've just rolled it out. It's very, very rough, kind of rectangular shape that we're going to cut in half. It's quite thick still. These are going to become the top pieces, and I'm going to kind of curl it over at one end, and then I'm going to put a little bit of the honey gold in the middle of it, just kind of creating a little bridge over the honey gold. I'm going to stick that on one side, create the same for the other side but in the opposite direction. I'm going to stick those to the top of the head, and then we just want quite a large teardrop in the honey gold colour with the pointy bit of it towards the head and the more rounded bit upwards. And just give it quite a firm push on because it's quite heavy, because it's quite thick and we don't want it to drop off. And 2 ovals in white fondant for the eyes. Just give them a little nudge down. We'll give him a couple of little eyelids. So use your flesh colour that you've got left over from the face, and then we want 2 tiny black ovals for the centres of the eyes. Just give them a little push on with your finger. An even smaller circle now in white. Now he hasn't got this on the picture, but I thought it looked nice. Then we want some black. We're going to create some eyebrows. So just roll it reasonably thin, but leave it just a little bit thicker in the middle, thin either side, and we'll put those above the eyes. Then we want some more black. We're going to roll it quite thin for like the clock hands or his moustache. Just make sure one's a little bit longer than the other. Position them from where his nose would be, outwards, out towards the side. So I've gone for the more down position than the one in my picture. I'm going to create a little teardrop kind of shape for the end and a little ball, just to give it a bit more decoration. And again, the same on the other side. And then we'll just put a teardrop on that side. And then we want a ball of honey gold for the nose. Just give it a bit of a press down so it doesn't stick up too much. And then if you want to add a bit more depth to it, you can start shading it using edible coloured dust. So I've just got the rainbow dust ones here. Just got a black one that we're just going to kind of pop into the creases on the faces, anywhere that it would be a little bit darker. You can also use a brown as well, which will work quite nicely. And then over sort of the honey gold colours, I've got a metallic food paint that we're just going to give a light coating of over the top, just to make it a little bit more metallic-y. So all the bits in the honey gold we're going to cover in this. And to neaten up the board, I'm just going to do it in white, but you can do whatever colour you want. We're going to roll the fondant or the sugar paste really nice and thin, and we're just going to gather it on the board. So make sure the board has been covered in a light coating of water or edible glue, and you want to gather it so it looks like fabric as we're putting it on. It wants to crease up as we go all the way around. And you're going to trim the extra off the edge of the board, and you can do this in several pieces till you've gone all the way around the board. Just arms to do now. So I've kept the arms from earlier that we cut out. I'm just going to check that they will position okay. And I've got more honey gold sugar paste. So can you see I've rolled it, but it's quite thick still. And I want it to kind of taper a little bit thinner at one end where the hand's going to be. Chunkier end I'm going to roll up. This is going to be like the shoulder part. So it won't be identical, but it's close enough for what we need for the cake. And then we'll just position the other end to however you want his hand to kind of sit. A little ball of fondant just pushed at the end there, and we'll repeat the same for the other arm. So I'm just adding some water, you can use edible glue, to the top end of like the arm or the shoulder, and we're going to push that in place kind of out from, I guess, where the side of his neck would be or the top of his body. And just repeat the same for the other arm. I think I might have made the other one just a little bit bigger, so try and get yours as similar as you can. Again, once you've done that, you can go over in the metallic food colour that we've got so that it matches the rest. Now it does show up more in real life than it does on the camera, does this metallic paint. There he is, all finished. I loved making this one. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do check out my other Beauty and the Beast cakes that I've made. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.